Turkish Star Wars 2 is pretty much the worst fucking thing that's ever been created by a country. It's like they took all the interest generated on the internet by the first one and just flushed it down the toilet. Instead of a guy karate chopping Muppets to death while clips from the first Star Wars movie play, we get a bunch of awkward CGI and characters who look like they have no idea what they're supposed to be. Oh my god, what's wrong with your face? If you're somebody who thinks this movie is better than the first one because it's more professionally made and doesn't use clips from other movies, then sit back while I explain all the reasons you're a fucking idiot. Number 1, the characters.
Alright, I'm not gonna do the rest of the video like that, but it's appropriate that I started that way because while the first Turkish Star Wars may have taken clips and inspiration from the original Star Wars movie, with this sequel made several years later, we've entered prequel territory. So as I said in my previous video, the real title of the movie referred to as Turkish Star Wars actually translates to The Man Who Saved the World. And, perhaps influenced by the movie's increasing notoriety outside of Turkey, in 2006 there was a sequel made called The Son of the Man Who Saved the World, which is also sometimes known by the title Turks in Space. But I'm not calling it either of those things. It's a sequel to Turkish Star Wars, so I'm calling it Turkish Star Wars 2. Hey, it was either that or the Ottoman Empire Strikes Back. So, just how does this movie pick up where the first one left off? Good question. I didn't do any research into what the storyline is or how it's connected to the first one. I haven't understood the plot to a Turkish movie yet on this show, and I do not intend to start now. I will give the movie credit. Unlike the first one, this doesn't appear to have been made by a cunt. And hey, what do you know? Looks like I managed to get a copy of a Turkish movie that doesn't look like it was put in a microwave. Anyway, we begin with a spectacular view of Google Earth, and this Star Wars-inspired sci-fi movie is starting out a lot differently than I thought it would. First, it looks like I'm watching a History Channel documentary, and then all of a sudden it's about soccer? The fuck? Oh good, we're in space. Oh, thank God. For a second there, I was worried I was going to be confused by this movie where I can't understand what anyone's saying. Meanwhile, in Turkish Red Dwarf, I would make fun of these effects, but, they're roughly on par with the ones from Event Horizon. Besides, the important thing is the movie lets us know Junaid Arkin is the top-billed actor, which surely means he has a big role with lots of lines in this movie. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. Instead, this is our main character, who I assume is the son of the man who saved the world? It must really be tough growing up when your dad can karate chop people in half and make rocks explode by kicking them. Well, at least the crew on this ship seems to be diverse. Look, one of them's a bird. Plus, I think the ship's computer might actually be Turkish Zombie. You know, all things considered, this Turkish version of the Orville seems like it'll be okay. Anyway, the captain's busy getting his James T. Kirk on with the ship's secretary, but he's interrupted before he can fire his proton torpedo into her exhaust port. Well, the captain may not have gotten laid, but the other crew members seem to be indulging their fetish for having the ship pee on them. We're now introduced to the movie's villain, but instead of not Ming the Merciless like the first Turkish Star Wars, this guy looks like he stepped out of an early 90s Saturday morning kids show. Oh, and Hitler's in the movie, I guess. Actually, I may have jumped the gun about this being our main villain, since not only does this guy have better facial hair, but he also has foxier henchmen too. I know we're only a few minutes in, but so far this seems more like Star Trek than Star Wars. Hey, now we're talking.
I think George Lucas gonna sue somebody.
Well, this is really shameless. They are clearly ripping off the condom scene from Skin Deep. Speaking of Turkish Star Wars, we finally get an appearance by Junaid Arkin, who looks like he's busy rehearsing for Turkish Enter the Dragon. Did you like that clip I played of Junaid Arkin? I hope so, because that was most of his screen time. One thing you'll quickly notice about this movie is while the first one felt like a fan film on meth, this one seems more like a direct-to-video sci-fi movie and has a much more comedic tone.
Osman! Osman!
I didn't add that. It's nice to know Turkey has its own version of those Seltzer-Friedberg parody movies. I can't wait until a Turkish Kardashian shows up. As if that wasn't bad enough, in the future regulations have gotten so bad you can't even smoke inside your own spacesuit anymore. So what's this guy's mission?
Uzayın Fatih! Gazan mübarek olsun!
I don't know what's worse, these effects or the fact that they're still easily the best of any Turkish movie I've ever done on this show. Oh, and speaking of which, apparently some people were disappointed that the movie didn't just steal effects from Star Wars like the first one did. But honestly, if you told me some of these shots were lifted from The Phantom Menace, I'd buy it. So what is this, like the Turkish Jedi Council?
Sayın Orion Birliği üyeleri.
Can we skip this scene, please? They better hurry up and end this meeting. This guy still needs to banish Jar Jar Binks. And here's one advantage this movie has over the Star Wars prequels. Instead of a bunch of long, drawn-out Senate scenes, we have the villain murdering Turkish Beldar. There's only room for one penis on this spaceship. And in case you're getting bored, here's some fan service. I don't know, though. It's just not the same without Turkish Batman and Robin going to a strip club for several minutes, you know? I know I mentioned Red Dwarf earlier, but instead of Crichton making dry jokes, we have Brentalflossbot here looking like he's debating where to stick this bottle. I'm still not sure what these characters are supposed to be doing.
Gökmen! Sesime gel!
Fuck you, crazy man. Fuck you.
Okay, I know it seems like I added that, but I didn't. What the hell is going on?
You are the disgrace of space. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Hey, back off, lady. I'm the one riffing this movie.
You animal.
Well, I have been compared to a horse. Mainly by people calling me a horse's ass. Nice to know in the future NASA is run by flight attendants, and I think the captain might be trying to enter the Billion Mile High Club. Well, at least he's got more game than the movie's villain, who seems completely oblivious to the fact he's piloting a ship full of latex fetish models. So, yeah, lots of action happening here. Say what you want about the first one, but at least things happened in it. They were weird, nonsensical things, but at least they were things. Are the characters in this movie going to actually do something? Oh, damn it. I was hoping for a collision. At least our heroes have finally met the movie's villain, who now seems like he's trying to look as douchey as possible. But instead of karate chopping him in half, we just get a kids' movie trailer moment. Well, that does it. Threatening my crew is one thing, but nobody kidnaps my side piece and gets away with it. I'm grateful we're finally getting some action in this movie, although I'm wondering when one of these characters is going to try spinning. That's a good trick. Unfortunately, our heroes end up getting shot down and are forced to crash land into a PlayStation 1 cutscene. Oh well, at least they seem to have landed close by where Junaid Arkin was doing Tai Chi earlier. Does that mean he's back in the movie?
Önce Gökmen, şimdi de Gonca. Ben burada kalıp Gölbaşı'nın bana verdiği görevi tamamlamakta kararlıyım.
Oh, god damn it! In addition to kidnapping Lieutenant Uhura here, the villain also shaved, which I think in this movie counts as a major plot development. Meanwhile, in the Turkish Magic Kingdom, you know, say what you want about the rest of this movie, but the catering on it was top-notch. Today on Turkish Hot Ones, can this guy handle wings coated in Ottoman ass blaster sauce? So as far as I can tell, this guy wants the villain to marry his daughter, but I can't believe it's not Queen Amidala doesn't seem too happy with this arrangement. Oh well, maybe he can try taking a swing at Turkish Jennifer Coolidge here. Oh look, our heroes still haven't left the ship. What a surprise. When they finally do go outside, it almost looks like they're about to run into the cast of Spaced Out. At least I hope to God. And listen, fellas, you can claim this planet all you want. I don't think anybody else wants it. You know, as similar as this movie is to the Star Wars prequels, it just doesn't seem like a Turkish knockoff without them taking music from other movies. Huh. Not quite what I was expecting, but I'll take it. Also, judging by the way the bad guy's looking at this dancer, I have a feeling this movie's about to turn into Turkish The Crying Game. At least he seems happier than his bride-to-be.
Babam beni zorla Zaldabar'la evlendirecek. Artık bir dakika bile bu sarayda duramam Bianca. Hemen buradan gitmeliyiz.
While all this is going on, our main characters are... Oh, Jesus, you mean they're still just standing around? For Christ's sake, do something! There, walking. That's something, I guess. Throughout this entire movie, I keep hoping the cast of Lex is going to show up so they can fuck and then murder the other characters. Anyway, Princess whoever this is realizes she doesn't want to get married. Probably for the best. I don't think she's this guy's type. So she decides to ATV it the hell on out of there and goes to... Turkish Blade Runner town, I guess? Well, all I can say is they better not definitively answer whether Junaid Arkin's a replicant, or I am gonna be pissed. And hey, turns out she's not the only one here.
Bahsettiğiniz şahsı tanımıyorum. Ben Kartal Kaptan.
After the captain forces the princess at gunpoint to have them participate in the rest of the movie, she decides to let them tag along, and I think they might actually pass Anakin and Queen Amidala rolling around in a field. Joke's on them though, the villain's already left. And once again, I think the subtitles on my copy might be a little off. Hey, wait a second, that wasn't right. Hey jackass, I think the reason you're not getting a signal is because it's the future and you're still using a flip phone. Well, I see these guys are keeping busy. If they're just gonna keep sitting there, I guess the plot'll just have to come to them. Oh no, don't tell me they killed... whoever those characters were. Not to worry though, there's plenty of annoying characters to replace them.
Dünyalı adam gelecek ve hepimizi kurtaracak. Gel dünyalı adam gel. Dememiş miydim?
This is my least favorite Turkish Martin Short character. And besides, turns out the crew members aren't really dead, they've just been captured. I know, I'm disappointed too. Anyway, the captain gets taken to a village where he meets Turkish Jake Lloyd, but more importantly, this is also where Junaid Arkin is. Unfortunately, he seems to have been frozen in CGI benite. Well, at least now the movie can definitively answer whether or not he's related to our main character. Huh. Okay, well, I guess that still technically makes that guy Junaid's son. And in addition to being frozen, Junaid Arkin is also apparently Space Ghost? Whatever. As long as they show him beating people up, I'm glad he's back in this movie, even if it is as a popsicle. Okay, now this movie's kinda starting to look like a sequel to Turkish Star Wars. All they need now is for the music to awkwardly drop out between edits and we're halfway there. And holy crap, you mean we're actually getting an action sequence in this movie? I mean, sure, it looks more like something you'd see in an Asylum movie knockoff of Star Wars and not a Turkish one, but still, it's an action sequence.
Bir kadına asla vurmam. Çekilin yolumdan.
The captain goes to confront the villain, and hey, wait a minute. I'm beginning to think these two might be played by the same actor.
Seninki belli değilse git anana sor.
Still a more believable plot development than midi-chlorians. And if you want proof why this guy's a poor stand-in for Junaid Arkin, instead of karate chopping the bad guy in half, he just gets bitch slapped off a cliff.
Kartal! Kartal!
Oh, of course he's fine. It looked like he only fell about 10 feet. In any case, he better hurry up if he wants to stop the princess from marrying Darth Adam Lambert. First though, he's gotta get a makeover to turn him into Turkish James Bond. Which, by the way, that's also a thing. And I don't know why the villain feels like he needs to get a hooker before the wedding when he's already got a ship full of sex bots. Oh, wait a second. That's the woman he kidnapped earlier. Sweet Stockholm Syndrome, I think these two might be falling in love. Oh, I see the wedding guests are starting to show up. Fun fact, in Turkey they save time by having the wedding ceremony and bachelor party simultaneously. Oh, and I guess this guy's back in the movie. How is it we haven't seen him in over an hour and yet he still has more screen time than Junaid Arkin? Well, looks like everybody's ready for the wedding, and even though this movie doesn't have any footage taken from other films, I think I know something that would fit pretty well here.
Oh, Jesus, God, no. Cassandra! Oh, hi. Sorry, everybody. Wrong wedding.
I object to this wedding. I look just like the groom, and I don't have an emo haircut. Oh, and if anyone's been disappointed there hasn't been any nudity so far, there you go. Eat your heart out, Total Recall lady. I'm not really sure what's happening here, but either these two are revealed to actually be brothers, or they both got tattoos letting people know they like being fisted in the ass. So, the movie's almost over. Are we gonna get a climactic fight scene or what? This is one part where I wish they would have taken music from Star Wars. This would be a lot better if Duel of the Fates was playing. The bad guy eventually loses after making the fatal mistake of bringing a lightsaber to a blaster fight. Plus, he was really the T-1000 or something. Okay, it looks like pretty much everything worked out, but it doesn't matter because Junaid Arkin is still trapped in a block of ice. Are they really gonna end this movie with him just sitting there frozen?
Doğru konuş bakayım.
Estağfurullah babacığım. Siz varken ne haddime?
Aklını başına topla. Dünyayı kurtaracaksın.
Alright, in this movie, Junaid Arkin really does save the world when he redirects a friggin' meteor. In my opinion, though, it would have been better if he karate chopped it in half. Oh, and I think he destroys Nowhere from Turkish Guardians of the Galaxy. And so, the day was saved, making the universe safe for Turkish knockoffs for eons to come.
Dünyasız insan, insansız dünya olmaz.
Oh, sure, he says that's the end, but once this gets bought out by Turkish Disney, they'll make like one of these a year. Comparing this to the first Turkish Star Wars is tricky, especially since the only thing that lets you know it's a sequel is Junaid Arkin, and he's barely even in it. On the one hand, it is more slickly made than the first one. I mean, it actually seems like a movie and not a fan film that was run through a wood chipper, but this also means it's less crazy and memorable than the first one. Instead, it's more like watching a Sci-Fi Channel original movie where I can't understand what anyone's saying. There's a few what the fuck moments, but it can't hold a candle to the insanity of the first one, and it's easy to see why it doesn't have the reputation on the internet the first does. Well, that's the last Turkish movie I'll be doing for 2017, but Junaid Arkin will return when I get to the Turkish Ewok adventure. I'm just joking, there's no Turkish Ewok movies. I think. Well, that's all for now. Until next time. Oh my god, what's wrong with your face?